very little few people know about it. Very few people specialize about it. So in your niche, it should be very, very easy to just navigate anything that is Google AdWords related, because that's where the trouble starts. Where did they get those information from? That's number one. Sorry. When they do research, they don't remember from where. So we always laugh, we marketers, oh, content has eaten you. So like the content is there just to influence you, and you just like you bought those informations, right? You didn't check it.
Hey, this is John, host of the Clicks to Customers podcast, and today I am very excited to be joined by a special guest, Milosz Krasinski, who is in charge of ChiliFruit. And we're going to get into ChiliFruit, also going to ask about the name, because it's always a fun name to say every time we say it. But today we're talking a lot of things SEO. So it's going to be tactical, we'll be talking about some link building, ChatGPT versus Google, as well as just strategic big picture, what's the state of SEO today. So come along as we dive in. And Milosz, great to see you. Thanks for coming on. ChiliFruit, how do you get into it, and what is ChiliFruit?
Hi John, thanks for having me. I'm managing of ChiliFruit. What's ChiliFruit? It's been a name that's been created by a friend of mine in London. He set it up a web design agency, but then he didn't want it to carry on, and then I just took over. He had some clients, and then the rest is the history. And then, it was a kind of like a product fit market where we are in a web design. Should we do some sort of web developments as well? Because at that time I was sort of like a front end a little bit. So I went through this technical SEO, a little bit of front end and design, and eventually we ended up with looking at the links where, the customers were always like, okay, you've built a website for us. You've done even some plugins, everything is looking great, but how are we going to get into the Google? And then this is the question, then it's like, there is still business, right? Because normally once you build the website, you just head into the next customer sort of. And then this is how it started. And then we just ended up with the link building, because link building always was challenging and always was there was always need for this. Like never-ending story. Like how can we scale it, or how can we build a process that always deliver at certain amount of the budget every month certain results, right? So I think that was the idea of Carry On, and since that we've been here like almost 10 years now in link building. So pretty long journey. And yeah, that's how the ChiliFruit came from that.
Awesome. Let's dive into that, because I think link building is one of these things. A lot of business owners, marketing managers, they've heard of link building, they've heard of backlinks, but I think there's a lot of mystery around what it means, and obviously distinctions between good backlinks and bad backlinks and so forth. So can you kind of elaborate a little bit more? How do you think about link building? How should businesses think about it? And kind of what role does link building play in a good SEO strategy?
Sure, I will tell everything based on my my team and all the best cases, previous cases, right? So every one of us has some cases, stories, and some of them they were good, some of them didn't work out, and there are other external factors that you have to take into consideration. So there's no you're always going to get right? That's one of the things that you have to always take into consideration. Same with the life. There's just so many things around externally, you just cannot control it, right? So a few things that we realize, at least what we see, it's working and it's bringing value, and it hasn't changed much, which is great, because in marketing there are always trends, and I love the trends. Okay, they great, they sound so fantastic when you read them, especially on the LinkedIn. Okay, we've got to try this idea, but time is the essence, time is the money, and your resources automatically. So you don't have time to test everything. And if you think about it, you also need a quite big sample size to test everything or every idea, whatever that's going to be. Every idea in marketing, there's quite, you read one case study, but they are very selected. You don't see the whole picture. So at least what we realized that what's working, guest post, however they sound like how bad reputation they have, if you know how to get them right, if you know how to evaluate what placements, and there are other things that you have to take into consideration plus content, the keywords obviously, and how difficult is the content it needs to be, they still working. If you just know how to, if you know your formula, sure, there needs to be the right amount of it. Maybe there is usually the case is too little. So SEO is the organic channel that's been for the last 20 years, right? And some businesses, they just really based on the organic traffic. So you cannot just say like, oh, this is end of the story, right? You have to find something else. No, they're still working. You just need to know how to manage them, how much you should invest into them, because it's not a spending cost, it's investments at the end of the day. So that's one factor. Second, link insertions. If you have been mentioned, or maybe like you, John, you have your business about the Google suspension. So you should be looking at the articles that potentially talk about the Google suspensions, and then you can always speak with the editor or speak with the blogger, whoever is in charge of this context, and say, hey, can I insert this 2-3 sentences, because since you have a Google AdWords, there is also potential, if you don't know how to run your Google AdWords account, sooner or later, you don't think about it, but in the future, if you do something wrong, you might get a penalty, right? And then you have to lift this what's that lift? What you're lifting usually a penalty, right, on a Google account.
Yeah, getting that suspension lifted.
Suspensions, exactly. Very few people know about it. Very few people specialize about it. So in your niche, it should be very, very easy to just navigate anything that is Google AdWords related, because that's where the trouble starts. You've got those marketers, it's so easy, they just dive in as like, hey, Google AdWords, like I know that if I spend, I don't know, $10,000 per month, I get that many leads, this is my conversion rate, they get excited until they get, yeah, exactly. And the story starts, right? So this is where the funnel is as well. So your intent. So if you understand as a marketer where the content is, you understand your people, then the link insertion is quite natural. You just have to find the content, speak with the right people, and give them the right the right edits, like within the content, right? So that works. So I just gave you just the two things. Still, digital PR these days is the bubbling up, especially digital PR that is towards SEO. So people not selling digital PR just for the get sake, just to get mentioned, but the mention has to be linked either way. No follow, do follow. So that's 3 pillars already of a very long-term strong strategy, and then you can keep doing that, and then you will see that the more time you spend within that, slowly, same with like a gym, you're not gonna make your six-pack within 1 month. It's just impossible, right? It takes you, first of all, changing the entire diet. So that's 70% of the success. Changing the diet is so hard, right? Everyone try that, and no matter how you try, it's very good to sustain that, and then sustain with with the right amount of time that you spend on the gym, plus the right amount of the time you spend on stretching, plus the right amount of the time to relax, right? Because you need after that another time to relax. So body investments, and just that you realize how difficult is that. Then think about it if you're trying to do this with the marketing or with the link building, if you just want to do it on a long term, right? So I think many of the marketing activities, they have the analogy, the real life analogy, and there is no magic plan or something. You just have to be consistent, and keep doing that. Like, I think the compound interest is really a good explanation on that. The compound interest works like the more you put into that, month by month, and then your competitors, they forgot to invest in SEO or content. You just keep them, wondering. That's one. Second, you're further away from them because it's going to be very difficult for them to catch up. So that's so these are the two things that business-wise they should makes you thinking. How should you treat SEO from the business perspective, and set an amount that is healthy enough for your budget, and slowly, month by month. Could be any amount, but as long as you just keep doing, but that is better than doing nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different threads we can pull on from that. Let me go a couple different directions. First direction, so you mentioned digital PR. I'm really curious, specifically press releases. Do you think it's worth companies spending time and energy on putting out press releases? Is there benefit from that, or is that an old tactic that no longer works?
Such a great question. That wasn't on the list, John, so I got to give you the 2 points for that. One, because you mentioned press releases. Two, many people thinking that digital PR these days is about press releases. It's not. So, okay, let's clarify that. The digital PR these days is about a completely different thing. So, like, if there is a query from a journalist and he's looking for an expert and he's looking for a commentary, a quote from an expert, and you're the source, right? You are the expert, so you have to pitch that journalist. This is the digital PR these days, like Haro. Now they changed the name to SOS, but many platforms like that, they do exist, and they aggregating all the queries from journalists. Then you connect to that platform and then you pitch. Either way, the digital PR agency does that on the behalf of you, or you do it if you have time. Obviously, you don't have time, because if you don't have time, it's something wrong with your business, right? Because it's impossible that the director of the company has time for pitching. Impossible. Like the entire PR, whatever that was, without the internet, or the era without the internet, everything was traditional media. There was always someone on behalf, like your PA/PR, a person who knows how to speak on the behalf of you, right? So it's been always like that, hasn't changed much. Just it allows small business owners, without being a sexy big brand, to give this input to experts, especially the journalists. They're looking for someone who's independent, I would say, small company, you see where I come from. So that's the future of the digital PR these days, but not the press releases. And I'll tell you why. A client of us, without our knowledge, he wanted to try, those press release distributions services. There are packages, they've been on the market for the last 10, I would say even 20 years ago. But they exist. People want to always buy, even for trial, because they're so cheap these days. So I just got the report, and the client said, "Hey, listen, I always wanted to try that," and I said, "Sure, fine," and he said that for the very long time we couldn't make it because it was more financial product, and the financial products are heavy regulated, so they couldn't do these press releases about this specific certain thing. And there was something has changed, probably, or maybe it got deregulated. And then finally they distributed these press releases through those services. Then we saw this press release on MarketWatch, on those big financial platforms. I just don't remember. There's an entire list of the big fishes. Fully Money or something like that. Fully Money or Full Market. The big ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, and got me something thinking that I will check the domain. So the domain.com name / so in that particular example, it was marketwatch.com /robots.txt, right? It's a very simple thing. Every website has a robots.txt where you can see what's allowed, what's disallowed. So so just let me explain that quickly, because maybe we don't have SEO guys who understands what's robots.txt. If you have a domain, even Forbes, and then you type in forbes.com /robots.txt, you always see the set of rules. And those set of rules, they are for the crawlers, all sort of crawlers, not only Google, Bing, ChatGPT, Claude, AI, all the AI crawlers, everyone, every single one. You can block, you can tell what it's allowed, what's not allowed, even what sort of a folder, what URLs, whatever you want, right? There's a set of commands. Marketwatch.com, specifically, it says that we do not allow Google, we do not allow ChatGPT, we do not allow Claude AI, and certain other crawlers do not to crawl press releases. So this is another thing. So when you see you can see that the press release get indexed because it can get indexed. Okay, but just because something is indexed but it's blocked by the crawlers, that doesn't mean that they will understand the context. They will only index within the Google and only for the certain part, like let's say it can be that release that can be like for 1 year, then they get de-indexed. That's another thing that we realized. So they only for 1 year. Just because they got indexed, they won't be there won't be any visibility, any clicks out of this, because we've checked that as well. So what you end up with, just buying some sort of like an ego boost, let's put it this way. It looks good on your company, especially when you say that is your press releases, your name, everything. So yeah, it works great, but it doesn't give anything in terms of like SEO activities or SEO return on investments, right? From SEO perspective, nothing. No, these days, that has changed. So again, for ego boost, great. If that's what you want to improve, it still makes sense. However, you can use those those logos. I've been mentioned, or my company, or we were mentioned at da-da-da-da-da. This is a great strategy. Will cost you very little money. And still, you can boost up the personal image of your company. So I think it's still good for just doing that. But from SEO value, zero.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's dig into, you brought up Claude, Perplexity, etc. Let's dig into some of these AI realities we're facing right now, because this is very much top of mind. Several questions I have for you. Let's maybe start with, let's talk ChatGPT and backlinks. Do you have any idea, or is there any data out there that shows that ChatGPT itself kind of cares about backlinks, or factors that into who it chooses to return when someone's querying information within ChatGPT?
The ChatGPT works on what's next. So it works in plain language. What's next? It's based on the probability. What would be the next current word after this? What if you're asking about something, who is the best in email marketing agency in the US? But if you have a lot of content on a Bing, because ChatGPT is using Bing, because it's the same company, right? It was bought by Microsoft. So ChatGPT is being fed by Bing. So whatever you have on a Bing, it should be always in Google. There is evidence that big players like BBC, Sky, I think all those TVs, especially in Britain, they do block a lot of content, or they do block ChatGPT, Claude, and all these AIs, because they believe that if you are feeding the machine using our informations, you should be paying for that. That's the logic for it, right? And I think it's depending on your logic, and I think there is some sort of a ground where we can understand where does this come from, right? Because it's not yours, right? You're crawling, you're using it, and you're learning out of. So no, it's not yours. You should be paying either license or something. So it's what happens with the publications companies, right? With the music and books over the last 20 years, right? They've been facing the same sort of the change of the business and everything and the structure. So yeah, I do understand that, but I think the evidence, at least according to us, for our clients, it shows that the more publications listings, like what is the best company, let's say, I don't know, let's get this, the best email marketing agency. And then you're trying to feed Google because you do this every month with a certain articles, so those listings, and then you say best, best, best. You are feeding the informations, right? They don't understand what's good or what's not. That hasn't changed much, right? So the fresh content, the more fresh content you do, you can sort of, to some certain degree, you can manipulate. And we've realized that more you do this, the probability of coming out or popping out, or your company is going to be number one in the results if you ask best email marketing agency in the US or in 2025, you're going to be there. And we've seen this. Okay, this is not something that will stay for ages because you still have to keep publishing those content, those type of contents, but it's easy to sort of feed or manipulate. I don't know if this is the right word, or influence. Maybe this is more, not less negative, it's more positive. Marketers have to be smart. So if you want to influence over, you can influence Google by just publishing those contents, right? With just the listings, and then list out yourself as a number one, sometimes second, and then you compare your other players on the market. So sooner or later, the ChatGPT will be showing the results based on the probability. So what's the next token? So that's how it works. So very little bit different than Google, because Google is still taking the backlinks into the as a ranking factor, and those guys like Claude, ChatGPT, no. So it's a little bit different game, but still there is a lot of doors how you can unlock it and how you can be there. But I think it's too early. And again, don't fall into this trend. It's better to wait a little bit and take the advantage of being second, because all those first guys, they will try a lot. There's going to be a lot of case studies, but let them spend the money first.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious to get your kind of big picture thoughts too on like how big of a threat is ChatGPT to Google's dominance in search? Do you think it's going to be something where a significant percentage of people begin to use something other than Google to begin their searches online, or do you think Google's safe for at least a while?
They are already published some numbers of how fast ChatGPT is having new users per day, so active users per day, so the growth rate, right? So if you compare the growth rates, this is the thing that I don't have that great memory, but I would love to say that where did I get this from. But if you Google or somewhere, there must be there are some already papers about it, some stats. So the growth rate of ChatGPT is super fast, no doubt about it. It's faster than Spotify, faster than Instagram, faster than anything else, because they are in different technology, different times, right? So let's take that into consideration. I remember Spotify, the first days of growth. I remember Facebook. I was one of the first, and I set it up on early 2006. So literally, I'm gonna have a Facebook account nearly 20 years, right? So I can talk about social media a little bit. Something, it hasn't changed that much, right? That some trends are over. Some people are just changing to the new platform, and that's really it. Like TikTok is more, for different demographics, let's put it this way, from the marketing perspective. And it's gonna say the same with the ChatGPT, but if you take into consideration the numbers, and you're gonna be very logical about it from the business perspective, right? Should you be really worried about it? I don't think so, because the growth rate on a daily, monthly, even if in the best case scenarios, it's going to stay as it is, and it's going to be grow, it will take another 10 years to catch up with the Google, to have the same amount of users, to be as big as Google. So 10 years, it's a pretty long time, right?
Yes. Especially in the digital world, it's about a century and a half in the digital world. Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Let's go back to link building a little bit. Got a couple questions for you around that. So let's talk about common misconceptions that people have when they think about link building. This could be either mistakes they make when buying links or just ways they think incorrectly about it. I'm sure you get to handle this all the time as you work with clients. So what are those kind of common or top misconceptions that come to mind?
One is, oh, I want DR80. This is the number one question that sometimes I get. So that means you're dealing with a client who, has educated himself. But if you ask the client or a person, client person, right, or a business guy, whoever, they don't remember where did they get those informations from. That's number one. Sorry, when they do research, they don't remember from where. So we always laugh, we marketers, oh, content has eaten you. So like the content is there just to influence you, and you just you bought those informations, right? You didn't check it. Another thing is that I always see this misconception is with the people when they see something on Facebook, but they don't check it. When we were at universities and we had to do the paper, right, the final paper, that one of the to make it successful, you always have to use the citations. Always. There is no way that you could submit the paper without the citations. Where did you get this from? Where did you get this from? Where did you get those informations? Based on what? Where? What's the source? You didn't come out of this, from your mind. So you have to show this, right? If you don't show this, you fail, and there's no go. But we people, we don't do that anymore. We just read it. We take it as a granted. Oh, I saw this on the internet. Oh, there is another one. I heard this one guy, at the maybe LinkedIn. I've read it on LinkedIn somewhere. That is another good one. So this is the problem, that there are so many sources and so many people that are very good at crafting well-influenced messages. And if they aggregate and formulate certain arguments, the way that you read them, oh, SEO is that, or you shouldn't buy the links. This is what happens, right? Because they don't verify that. So that's number one. So what we get is, this is what we get, those type of informations, and then we have to unlearn. So Yoda has said, I don't know if you remember in Star Wars, I think Yoda said, you have to unlearn what you've learned. Very wise words, right? It's so difficult because we've been trained, like ChatGPT, we've been trained, right? Because we read on Google, same with the best diet. You're trying to figure out, it's better to pay the dietitian, or is it even better someone who is PhD dietitian? That's even better, because those guys, they've been in this game for a really long time. So I can only imagine how many blood tests you have to make, just to give them a data set so they can, they can tell you the facts, right? So DR80 is the number one, because people say, oh, the high authority is, they difficult to get them. It's a fact. It's a fact, but that doesn't mean they are the best. The problem with them is that they're not well indexed, or they're not well internally linked. So we see those cases. They somewhere very far in the page depth. So those links they're looking great from that perspective. They'll give you this ego boost, as I mentioned. But from an SEO perspective, again, they just look good, but doesn't pass the clear SEO, the value. This is also called the page rank, right? This algorithm. So if you go to Ahrefs, not many people do that, and not many people know that. There is a data set that is available publicly. You just click by one button, download the entire first 1 million. So Ahrefs allows you to download the first 1 million of domains starting from DR100. There is 1 million in CSV. So you just scroll until you find from DR100, which is starting from position. So that's going to be Facebook, Google, Twitter. You're not going to get DR99 anywhere. Um, and if you get there, it's going to be no follow, right? You scroll down until it's end of the DR80. So you will see that there is only in entire circulation of the entire internet, at least according to Ahrefs, that's the data, that's the source, right? I'm telling you the source.
You got your citation.
That's the citation, right? It's 15,000 in the entire circulation, 15,000 domains worldwide, all the languages, all the businesses. How many of them are relevant to your business? What is the chance of getting the R80, even if you do this through the digital PR, right? Mm-hmm. The probability is so low that yes, sure, those links are like a diamond, but that comes with the price. Now you ask yourself, should you be spending on a gold, or maybe should you be spending on a Bitcoin? It's a very similar question, because the return on investment in Bitcoin is one day is like this, one day is like that, right? Like 3 years ago, the Bitcoin was very, very, very low. I've got to be, I was lucky one of them, because I put on the Bitcoin 3 years ago when it was low, because I like when everything is crashing, then this is the best time to buy.
Yep.
When the Bitcoin is now is very up, and 3 months ago we saw what happened with the Bitcoin, I was selling. So I was very, very, very happy person, and very, very happy man. But that it's not what Warren Buffett says, invest when everything is down. No one does that, because people are afraid, right? It's scary.
Yep.
Like, why should you invest in backlinking when you see that many Google updates, right? So it's a scary thing. But the organic traffic's still been there and it remains. So I see where they're coming from, people. One, because they want to get this DR80, which is great. But the thing is that everything goes to your homepage, because the digital PR never link to your landing page. They never link to your strategic pages, right? Unless you have like a paper, like a blog post. But the blog posts are informative. They don't convert people. So you see where I come from. Yes, those great links, but it's not what you want. At the end of the day, you always have a landing page that you know that converts best. You have your Google Search Console, and you know that these are the leads from here. So you want to build links to that actual page, and through the digital PR, you won't be able to do that effectively month by month, because the amount of those links are very limited. So yes, this is where I think there's a misconception about it.
That makes a lot of sense. So, people have this kind of too high expectation, unrealistic expectation, and you're saying, hey, let's be realistic, think about ROI on the time investment money, and you're much more likely to see results by going for a lower but more relevant, domain authority than going for the big boys that you probably will never get into and might not be relevant to you to begin with.
You should be my PA, because the way how you just this described is more like, more professional, well put, right? Well summarized. You should be my live, real, personal AI. What I say that you just summarize this automatically. Good take, by the way. Yes, that's exactly how it is. And you think about it. It's just a little bit. The problem is with us, because we want to get those high quality, because we believe that because of the probability, like if I get it, my competitors will not get it. But time is money. Your resources are money. Your resources are limited. That's true. You can't change that. So, and you have to invest every dollar, and you're not going to see those results next month unless you do the PPC. Then that will test out very quickly. So this is a very good thing, to use that PPC, because at least the PPC will tell you what keywords are converting. So if you know what keywords are converting, you have already a gold. So let's say that which keywords are converting. That's like your Bitcoin, basically. Just invest in those keywords if you know. So build links, use those anchors as those keywords. Just don't go too much, don't go too over it. But yeah, I mean, as you said, just because something is looking so good doesn't mean that it will produce the results. And then those, let's say, average links, people say like, hey, this is not so valuable. it doesn't matter. It has to bring you the results, right? The rankings up. Um, so we need to be more practical rather than because it's looking good. Like there's so many those applications, they're looking so great, beautiful websites and beautiful designs, but if you speak with any conversion rate optimization specialist, they will tell you, so what? That doesn't convert. We've been in this business, right, for so many times. We've tested every single button, every color. That doesn't work. It just, design doesn't convert. So just because it's looking good on you, or because you have those sexy backlinks, DR80 or something, doesn't mean that you will make it, right? Or at least in the long term. It's hard to be always on the top of that. How many ideas you need to have to pitch journalists all the time. So it should be, yes, it should be like somewhere on the site. If you have, let's say, I don't know, you've put certain amount dollars every month into that as a let it go, let it be. That is a good strategy. But I wouldn't go like, look, nothing is working. We've tried all the channels. Let's move everything into digital PR. Let's pitch I don't know, some VCs. They will give us a nice big chunk of money. We give them our percentage of business, and then let's jump into digital PR. Let's put I don't know, 100,000. You see, that is a big bet. I don't think you are in the business. You are in online casino, right?
You're in the casino, and it's always hard too, because you generally only hear about the times where the casino works. You hear about the fantastic success stories, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I can do that. I can be Uber, I can be fill in the blank. But you don't hear about the other 99% of times where you went big and went home. And I think it's really important. You're couching things in the idea of results and very practical results, because I think this is something that a lot of SEO companies don't talk about. They talk about things like, hey, get more clicks, we'll get more of your pages on page one or whatever, and those things sound good, and they can be good, but it all depends, like you said, what content are you actually promoting, and does that content convert? I think a good example on our own website would be, we have a blog post that we wrote a while ago about how to spot if someone sends you an email pretending to be Facebook and they're scamming you or phishing you. And it ranks well when we get traffic, but that traffic doesn't turn into business for us. So we're not going to spend a lot more time and money emphasizing that content, because it's just, we're just helping people out, but they're not turning into customers. So you mentioned PPC as one really good way of kind of shortcutting to see what keywords are likely to convert. Are there any other strategies, or maybe what does your conversation look like when you're working with a client and they've got like, hey, I do this and I do this, and I've got 5 or 6 different services, lots of different stuff I could try to rank for. How do you help them try to focus in and hone in on what's going to give them the best return on their investment?
I need to I need to correct you on something, because you said PPC is a short way. It is, but it shouldn't be taken like one-off, because it's good when you set up on the long term a specific, let's say, amount of money, dollars per, let's say, time, and then you allow the time, even though the Google it may seem that it costs a lot of money, but it'll give you the information, so you buy the informations, right? But if you combine a PPC and SEO and conversion rate optimization and a good offer, then this is how the actual marketing strategy works. But if you just shift everything to a SEO agency, then that's not going to work, because the clicks are where it all starts. When you have the user and he knows what he wants, he's got a trouble, he certainly will find you very soon by calling you, because I need that right now. I don't think he's going to read entire landing page through, right? He's not going to even scroll down to the bottom of it. He's going to straight away. It's like you have a problem with the water, right? And you need a plumber guy. You just call him, so you just hit the plumber near me. That's your phone, and on the top of the website, mobile version, you click the telephone number. You don't even care whether he's got the Google reviews, right?
Exactly.
So,
It's like my kitchen's flooding right now. I'm not going to go read your reviews. Just call me.
so yeah, I mean, I think we just need to be very realistic about the expectations, which you've mentioned that. And yes, PPC works really well with the SEO. So let's put it the way that they have to bring you the dollar back. If the PPC on the long term is declining, these LTVs are not enough long. Long LTV stands for the how long you can have your customer, right? Let's put it simple language.
Yeah, that lifetime value, how much you're going to get out of them over the course of working together. Yeah.
And unfortunately, what PPC is proving in the long term, I was in the business, there was accounting business in the UK. Quite a long time ago, so those values are changing. They're changing, right? Because it depends on the year, depends on the situation, depends on the if there are no news in or changes in the law, right? That because sometimes legal actions can take, there could be something that your business is based in, let's say, I don't know, New York, or you're or in Texas. Very big difference, right? And so everything you have to take into the consideration, offline things like what is the law, what are the limitations, right? And then that's your entire story. So that's your entire plan and limitations as well, right? Because offline factors, you have to take that into consideration, what happened that time. But let's go back quickly to this PPC. The client, it was a quite big B2B accounting firm, still is. They were investing in PPC for a very long time. The CTA was around £500 per month. So every 500 they get the lead, it converted, the LTV was 9 months. So they realized that, okay, so it cost us 500, right, to get that conversion, and we can have this lead on recurring only for 9 months. So clearly those guys are newcomers, they come to us, they are, because they kind of lost, they need our services, but after 9 months they start shopping around. So if they found us through the Google PPC, that easy, how easy is going to be for them to to switch to the other operator? So these are the cases that people are shopping around. So your offer has to be also good enough, and it depends what sort of customers you're looking for. So PPC is just driving the traffic to your landing pages, and that again, landing pages, not to the homepage. So let's specify that. Where in SEO, because you have the landing page and you build those links. Here is the thing: when you build those links, they don't get de-evaluated that quickly. While someone will click, maybe your competitors or maybe some bot will click up too many times within your advert, you sort of like losing very quickly what you put into this bucket. And after a month, you see, like after 2 weeks, you don't have, the budget dried and you don't have enough money to generate the clicks, right? So you're not there anymore. So that's the problem with the PPC. So as long as you, on average, you keep getting the money out of this, and then you can reinvest that part to the SEO in the long term, that is one way. But obviously, as I said, there's so many analogies, real life, that you have to put a lot of effort into the entire marketing strategy as well, right? Offer has to be, if you have a, let's say, average product and you're not competing well, then even SEO will not help you, not even link building, right? But it will help you to be there. I mean, again, depends on what you're selling. Like if it's a plumber and near you, and then there's no other ones, so then actually you don't really, I don't think if you need any PPC or then you need any SEO, you see where I come from, because there's no, you're the only one for the entire area, so the demand must be very big and you can charge as much as you want, really. So going back quickly to the link building, I'm gonna say again, you should be spending the right amount on a monthly basis slowly, but over the long term. And that shouldn't never, like, don't stop it, because it's a long game, right? But again, the thing is that every link you build, it's your digital asset. It will stay with you, but the PPC will not. It will give you the customer that sooner or later, as long as you know your LTV of your customer, then it's fine. If your business is just churn and burn, you have one guy and he most likely will never come back to you because you solved his problem and he paid you once, then the LTV doesn't really much help, unless you can measure how much business he generated for you, maybe word of mouth, if you can measure that. Yeah, so that would be my view of my personal view of strategy. How, there's many layers how you can approach that, but I don't know. Do you agree with me? What's your take on that?
I do. No, 100% agree with you. I think the best strategy. So clients will often ask us something like, "Should I do SEO or PPC?" And my answer is always, generally always, both. Ideally, like they build upon each other. They work together, just like you mentioned. And there's a lot of data from Google too about this. That when you have good SEO rankings and paid rankings at the same time, that exponentially increases the likelihood of getting that click, getting that traffic. So it's not an either or. They're not competing with each other per se. They are both building upon each other. Is how I like to look at it.
This is the problem. You see, John, you and I, we're not 0-1. But suddenly, most of the people, the internet these days, internet people are 0-1. They think, okay, this is a strategy, so 0-1. This is not a strategy. Okay, SEO is dead. Okay, let's use the people. SEO is dead. No, content. Okay, now let's start on TikTok. SEO is dead.
Yes.
So you can keep going with that. But why do we have digital marketers as managers? Because they understand the whole pictures. You cannot do the six-pack if you don't cut your carbs, right? You're not gonna do it if you not improve it so overly. You have to look at everything. So surely, if you are a big brand and then you see those guys all the time, I think I'll tell you something really interesting. I've never been a guy who understands why the banners are so important. Banners, like classic banners in let's say traditional magazines, or big banners when you're riding, you're going from one city to the other city, and then those big banners are always there at the motorway, but you look at them. And I recently bought a Toyota RAV4, and someone told me, oh, you need new tires. I'm not a big motorhead guy, so if someone says to you, it's like, oh, I have a family, so no, tires need to be, I want to be safe on my own road, right? I better check. And then I did my research. Obviously, I made a picture of the tires. I put it into ChatGPT, Claude, and gave me the answers. That was pretty fantastic. Because I found those informations right away. And he told me, like, your tires are actually good enough to, you can carry for the next year. And I went to the tires guys, and they said to me, 1 year is still enough, so fine. You don't panic, right? Just because one guy told you that you have to change it right now, just wait, change the entire set, will give you a better price, right? Come back to me, right? He did mention that specifically. And he gave me the card. So he made the touch point, right? He made the touch point, and he mentioned this specifically. Your tires, you didn't replace them because you bought the second. There's not new car. You bought like after the second, as like second-hand car. It was a Toyota RAV4, 2 years old. So he checked when was the last time the tires, 5 years ago. He said, you have Yokohama. I don't know what's that. That's the brand. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, wherever you go, you see Yokohama.
Yes.
I'm driving, I see Yokohama, oh my God, so Yokohama is actually big. And then you speak with other guys, hey, have you ever changed your tires? Yes. Have you ever had Yokohama? Yeah, it's a big brand, it's a Japanese, it's one of the premium. So you're going to pay premium. And you start suddenly searching for Yokohama. Then you type in somewhere Yokohama, you go to this, website. Then you have this, in Facebook, those, how do you call this strategy? That you clicked, and then That display ads, yeah, the display. It's,
Oh, the remarketing to you. Yep, start following you
remarketing
around.
is fabulous, exactly, remarketing, because they have your Google the cookies. So because you didn't delete your cookies, they can now follow you, and then every time you see Yokohama, by now, now you see the picture, remarketing, word of mouth, a card from your a mechanic dealer. He gave you the card. He said, "I've got Yokohama," and then it's wherever you go now you see Yokohama. So the branding works. So these are the touch points. No matter how you do, whether that's SEO, PPC, email marketing, newsletter, these are your touch points. So the more touch points you do, and surely SEO is one of them, and it's pretty static because the more touch points, like link building, that you do, and they are very connected to your business. Like I've already, told you, John, that all you have to do just look for the content where people talk about the Google AdWords. They don't know the problem yet, but they will find out that we're gonna be there, and they're gonna remember you, or I remember I found you. So you should actually say in whatever the content is, somewhere a link insertion, somewhere a link from this blog post about the Google best practices about the Google setting up Google account. The guy is just there, he's setting up accounts, but have it. John Horn said, be careful about this and that. Best practices tell you that you shouldn't be doing this because your Google account can be suspended, said John Horn from StopGrab. They're gonna remember John Horn. They sooner or later, it's a touch point. They don't think about it right there. It's like me, Yokohama. I didn't even know what's Yokohama. So I think this is the end story and end point of the entire podcast today. I think it's it summarized pretty well.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I think that's a great place to kind of bring things to a close here. And Milosz, thank you so much for your time, the wisdom that you've shared. Before we close here, I want people to know how to get in contact with you. So what's the best place, or what are the best places online for them to learn more about you and reach out to get your help?
Type my name, Milosz Krasinski. If you cannot type it or remember, ChiliFruit, ChiliFruit Web Consulting. And I think if you just type it in, go to my website, hit the contact form, we'll get back right to you. So I think that's the easiest way. If we you need just let it do it this way. Google us.
Perfect. And we'll put links as well in the show notes and description here. And to those watching, listening, thank you for your time today. And until next time, have a fantastic day. Go forth and conquer, and let's make more money online through digital marketing.
Thank you, John.